And now, only on KGRA Radio, this is the Starborn Connection. Join your hosts, Michael Austin Melton and Julia Yesner-Weiss.
Hey, happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Starborn Support Show. We are here tonight. It's going to be just an incredible night. I want to thank everyone for tuning in across the United States and around the world and around other worlds, if possible. And also, I welcome the YouTubers. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Please make yourselves at home, kick your shoes off, get a cup of coffee, and relax. We're going to have a good show. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to start off by saying this show, has really had some great moments. The past year was great with many fascinating guests. And so far this year, we haven't had too many shows, but it's becoming an exciting year ahead. I don't know where it'll take us, but I can say we will have quite an awesome ride as we learn from experiencers, well-known guests, and more science. I have to tell you, I am officially working with FREE now, the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences. I'm writing a chapter for their first book, and the first book is called Beyond UFOs, The Science of Consciousness and Contact with Non-Human Intelligence. I'm writing the chapter on environmental and behavioral messages received by experiencers from non-human intelligent beings. And it's proving to be a real learning experience. One of the things that I have found already is that we are totally pathetic. We're killing our world. And, I've read so many articles and stuff, it just practically brings me to tears what we're doing. And it is reflected in the messages we receive from our otherworldly and other dimensional friends. They care. Most of them do. Some of them do not. I'm a little more than halfway through writing it, and I think the book will be impressive. And the amazing thing is the book will be free. Free from free.
Free from free.
That's right.
Yay. Can't get better than that.
Can't beat it with a stick. I'm also taking a position on the research team, and I'm working with these guys that seem to be so far above me. But we'll see where that journey takes me. It should be quite an adventure. Well, now, speaking of quite an adventure, I advertised on Facebook that we might be having something occur on the show tonight. And tonight's show might just be the most fascinating show to date. My good friend in Czechoslovakia, Ilona Podraska, contacted me this morning, and she was very excited as she sent me the news. It seems as though I asked only a few more questions, and he answered them. However, he also said that how can I put it? Let's see. Told her that he would interrupt our broadcast tonight if the conditions were good. If the conditions were not good, it will not happen, but it may in the future. We can't guarantee it. This is an alien being, an extraterrestrial biological entity, and he is not from our dimension, supposedly from the 12th dimension. I can just imagine what that's like. So what we're doing is, he said he's going to interrupt our broadcast. I don't know whether there's going to be just an interruption. I don't know whether there will be some sort of an audio signal. I don't know whether there will be any verbiage exchanged. I just know that it will be interrupted at some point. He says his ship will be close by the source of the broadcast, which is in upstate New York, essentially. So our producer has a camera mounted outside in case the ship comes by.
Wow.
We're ready. I do not know
how. And it might be above our houses as well in Philadelphia. So I have my guesses.
Maybe. I'm in a basement, so I don't think he's going to waste his time over my house.
I can see out the window. So.
Well, I don't know how long we'll be interrupted, nor do I know, like I said, if there's going to be anything else but an interruption. Now, Oli told Ilona also that if conditions were not right, it would not happen. So now we shall begin our show. We are calling it Review and the Future because that is what we will be talking about. We have so much news and good things, horrible things. I understand, Julia, that you have a subject that you want to discuss, and we're going to get all that stuff in. So, good evening, Julia. Hello, Bill. How have you guys been? We're officially on the road, and I don't know when this is going to happen. So, it may or may not happen now, 10 minutes from now, whatever.
Probably during what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm not.
I have so many things I got to tell.
That's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
I got to say, I know my YouTubers are watching, and if anything happens, they will definitely reach out to me, whether it's in the YouTube chat or in KGRA radio chat room.
Oh, please. Okay. Yes.
All right.
Because I need to be watching what's, the stream itself, but because with everything that you just said, it could be something that we see on a screen or maybe a disruption in the audio. So I'm keeping my eyes peeled for any kind of activity either way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we do. And don't get disappointed, anybody, if it doesn't happen. There are more shows and there are more chances in the future.
And next time, Michael, if you can get her to ask a specific star group cluster constellation where I should be pointing my camera to give us maybe more of a definitive area of where, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she heard you. She's listening.
Oh, cool. So there you go, Ilona.
Very good, folks. All right, let me just start. And I don't want to work things up too much because, it's a happening. If it happens, holy cow, our show is going to be very popular.
Oh, and before anybody, the listeners, because we didn't mention this, the video is on Bill NY Skywatcher on YouTube.
There you go. Very good. Julia, since you have so much to talk about, I want you to go first tonight with what you have to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Julia Weiss.
Oh, my God. My vibration is so high tonight. It's been incredible.
That's also good because you're putting out some signals.
I'm putting out codes to you, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, Oli. Don't forget.
Don't forget, Ali. The codes are out there. The light language is there. Anyway, my light language has broken through. I have several other dialects I'm doing. When I sing it sometimes in like a chant. And I prayed all year, number one, for my light language to increase because I only had like one paragraph, for it to be more fluent, and of course for the healing. And my other meditation was for a group to meet at my house, a light language group. So this is so amazing. It's been about a year since I've been speaking light language, and I met up with this wonderful young lady, Linda Bianchini. She actually lives in Churchville, which is 45 minutes from my house. And I met her through the Unity Light Language page. And and we started talking. So she came over my house and she decided she wants to come over every week. And we meditate for the collective. We have lunch. We meditate for the collective. Her light language is unbelievable. It's very powerful. She actually has a healing business and a clearing business, like healing and clearing with light language. Now, Spirit told her in the morning when she was getting ready to go to work that she needs to start a group with me, which matched my meditation. It was so amazing. So we we're going to have a group meet at my house twice monthly. And so she asked me what the name would be. So I actually, right away, after we were off, right away, it was Voices of Ascension is what I got. So I actually went to do my meditation to ask my guys if that is the title of the group. And in my head, I got so many different, in my group, I got so many different, in my head, Voices of Ascension in different voices. Like, I didn't actually hear them, but it was there. Hi.
Hey, Julia.
Are you back?
Julia.
Yeah.
I just got cut off. It was my computer. It wasn't Oli. I didn't want anybody to think.
Oh.
I'm on my phone, and I'm just going to stay on my phone for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Bill, did you hear the whole thing I said?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we have this group called Voices of Ascension, and it's meditation for the collective, DNA activation using light language and healing, and we're going to discuss the ascension process. So Linda set up a meetup group, and we can only have about 25 people. My living room is not that big, but we've gotten a tremendous amount of responses so far. And I was really like, I don't know if anyone's going to come, but we're connecting to all these wonderful people in the area. And I think what we need to do is like set up a grid where each, like the West Coast, the East Coast, South, North, middle of the U.S., people start having groups. And it doesn't have to be a light language group. It could just be a group where you're meditating together for the collective. So we have that. And let's see. So Linda has been teaching me a special breathing technique. So when I did the breathing technique, which was taught by a shaman, an Indian shaman, all these different dialogues started to come out, and I started to sing in so many different ways. So it's pretty incredible. So we're hearing a lot of interference. Is that Ollie?
I think that's Mike doing something on his
I'm
end.
trying to get a headphone into my.
Oh, okay.
There we
Mike's
go.
trying to get a headphone in, people. Don't get excited.
Boy, I'll
Okay.
tell you, I apologize. This is very amateurish. I'm going to have to change my computer again. It's ridiculous.
Oh, sorry about that.
While he's
So
doing
the
that, yeah, keep going, Julia, while he's doing that.
Okay. Well,
I'm getting old, so.
so many things have been happening. Now, there's also talk of, I heard from a few different people online. Apparently, there's a portal in Guantanamo Bay, and they're getting rid of all the Illuminati people, the bad politicians. They're actually taking them off planet. And there's all these planes that are flying down. So that's been in the news lately. I've heard it from a few different people. People that don't really connect or know each other. So it's like,
Oh, boy.
they're getting the same information. That's really awesome. So what we're going to see probably is there's a lot of famous people that are going, and the famous people that are being arrested, they're going to fake funerals for them because you're going to wonder where they're going, and they don't want to say there's a portal and they're going to another three-dimensional planet. And that's supposed to start really clearing out for everything to start happening, the new financial resets, the debt freeness, and redoing the banking system, and that's supposed to start everything functioning. So that's really awesome. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, we could talk about this, Mike, is the and Bill, the disclosure.
Yeah.
When that disclosure happened, I think it was January 16th, and they showed a video. Here's my take on that. number one, our show should have been on, but I know Jimmy Church is a big guy, and I just wish he would have had us as guests, because our show is all about, contactees, and, this would have been a big deal for us. So it is what it is. So anyway, this is bigger than us. It was a really big deal that all these stations covered everything. However, they just showed a tiny little clip from the F-16, and there are F-16. And if you listen to Jimmy Church's radio show, there was an F-16 pilot, or a son of an F-16 pilot, that said his father said that was real. The whole, video inside, it definitely looked exactly the way it should look inside an F-16. So yes, it was verified, but what I'd like to see, it was a short little thing. And then a few days ago, Tucker Carlson on Fox interviewed Leslie Keith. That interview I really liked, because he usually interrupts people. He didn't interrupt her, and he did say he brought up the UFO case in Chicago O'Hare Airport, where there was a hole in the sky. The ship went up, and you can see it up in the cloud. So
that was a few years ago, right?
Yeah. So that to me was more amazing than the other thing, because the actual news person was bringing up cases and not interrupting, and not, it was a short interview, but I think they should have longer interviews. But see, now is the time to bring back the footage, or have another, what Stephen Greer had in Washington, the press event. That would be a great, because nobody really listened to it back then. So
yeah, that's true.
Except the people that were interested in UFOs, we listened to it. But if they had it on the news, I mean, they talk about one subject for 18 hours. It's so, I don't even listen to the news anymore unless I know they're going to talk about something I'm interested in. But if they put that on for the whole day, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, or, or even just, each night, it was a long, have maybe like 4 hours of people speaking each night. That, to me, that's disclosure, right there, because they had it on briefly, and 2001 happened, and then it was again 2008, but it came and it went. There was like no real coverage. It was like a little short coverage thing. So there needs to be more stories, but also we have to also be aware that this is the government allowing things to come out. So this is like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's definitely a military thing. Great. So, but we do have to be aware of how the government is controlling how this is coming out. So be careful as to what the twist. The twist, is it going to be negative ETs or positive ETs, or it doesn't matter, or we've been working with them, they're fine, they're giving us technology. Like, we don't know quite yet how their perspective, or do they want a space war, or do they want just everybody to know, and eventually everybody knows, and we can really have contact. So, Bill,
Julia, you have to remember, though, we all know how our government works. Right now, we're shut down. So I don't know whether we're ever going to get any kind of an organized disclosure. I don't think we're ever going to have the president, especially this one, come on TV and talk with any seriousness about, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the facts that we are in touch with extraterrestrials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That ain't happening. That's going to have to come out bits and pieces.
I got to say.
You know how it can come out? With if one of us ever has enough money to do a 2-hour conference or a 4-hour conference with no commercials, and get it on CBS, ABC, NBC, that would be awesome.
And I'm going to take a whole different approach on this.
Okay.
When this broke on December 16th, and I seen these videos with the F-18 pilots from the Hornets, what was going on, first of all, first thing that threw me off was the conversation that was going on in the cockpit. That was one.
Yeah.
The usage of the word dude and some other phrasing that I'm saying, okay. And speaking to another host that's a vet on our network, Commander Cobra, he said, Bill, they do speak like that. Believe it or not, they do have those kind of conversations.
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
Now, the videos themselves, like you said, Julia, they're short. Mm-hmm. And you can see how they're following these objects. First of all, we don't know if that's a drone. We don't know what that exactly is because really looking at the video, being going so quick, I cannot determine what exactly that is. Now, Mark D'Antonio believes he has an explanation.
Oh, of course he does.
Well, yeah, he sent it to MoveFund.
Yeah, but the pilot said, I never saw anything move that fast and do an angle that fast. In other words, nobody could survive the G's of them turning right.
I get that. I totally respect that. Now, here's another thing. This was a declassified video. And the government can sit back and say, okay, ufology people, go run with this. Take it for away, because they were careful not to say, remember, the agency was part of an unidentified aerial threat. They never used the word UFO. They're very careful when they were talking about this. They're not. He just said it. Like you said, the pilot statement said, "I don't think this is of our, of this world. It's otherworldly."
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But at the same time, the government can be saying, "All right, let's leak this out, or let's put it out there because it's not really a leak because it's declassified." But let's put it out there. Let's see how mainstream media handles this piece. Let's see how the public takes this. Because remember, everybody's so concerned about if disclosures to occur, how is the social effect going to be? How is it going to affect the masses as far as, you know what I mean?
I think everybody knows already. I think people are fine. They know already.
They are, but there are still some people that, these hardcore people who just there's nothing out there, it's dead out there, we're the only things alive out there. Well,
and
they're going to be the ones that will, pardon my French, be filling their underwear with fecal matter when it happens. However, most of the people, I really don't think, what was the name of that darn report that they had where they said people would lose their minds? It was released in '69 or something. Was it the Condon report? I'm not sure exactly which one it was. But, I don't think...
They thought it would break down people's religion, which they actually need to happen.
All right, but both of you, from your perspective, and Julia, especially for you, with Ascension, they, remember, Tom DeLonge, To the Stars, these group of people, these group of individuals, consider these as malevolent entities.
Yes.
Evil, demonic.
Oh, yes. Well, they're not. And that's part of the government. That's part of what people have been talking about all along. What's her name? Carol Rosen from Warner von Braun's assistant. She still speaks at conferences. She said, Warner von Braun said, it's going to be, we constantly have to be in war because the powers that be gain the money and gain the power. And first it's going to be, it's the communists. And when the communists are gone, it's going to be terrorism. And then after terrorism is gone, it's going to be space and the ET wars. And from what I hear, that is being thwarted. The White Hats are in there. And they're going to try for the Star Wars thing, but it's going to, from what I hear and from what I personally feel, yes, it's frauded. But I mean, they're just like everybody else. There's good and bad in everybody, but there's so many of them that it is a conscious contact, and part of consciousness is spirituality. Mm-hmm. So the Pleiadians, the Syrians, many Arcturians, many races are working with us, raising our vibration. We're all raising to fifth dimensional vibration. They are fighting for us and helping us with the Draco, the reptilian, the opposite side. So it's interesting. You have good and bad, just like the Bible they think of them as angels and devils. They're really different races that have different agendas that, but the good is winning. And we're making that decision. We're like tired of the way society is. We want an equal society. We want a society without stress, where people enjoy what they do. They spend times with their family. They work at jobs they love that benefit Mother Earth and clean up Mother Earth. And that's how most of our space brothers live.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to say. I'll just say one more.
That's my opinion.
I'll just say one more quick point. I'll let you guys go at it. But the thing is, if we are truly going to have this, if we're going to ascribe to the white hats theory, and there is some kind of a situation where there are people that are undermining government, whatever the administration is trying to do, whatever it is. If we're going to get to the truth, let's also get to the truth about the lies. If these alleged lies are true, that they've been covering this up for over 7 years, and let's see, instead of a declassified video, let's see something that we can discern as something that's really can be proven scientifically without question. Not one of these videos that, to me, it's not something I could not deem any of what I've seen as something I could say is otherworldly or alien, UFO, whatever. I want to see something definitive. That when you
use the smallest video, they're going to show bigger ones later.
That's the whole.
They're trickling it out.
I agree.
What they do is they use the worst damn camera they can get their hands on, and they take the video with that so that it does look like it's some sort of a plastic ship being dangled in the air by a wire. We need to see crystal clear. And not only do we need to see crystal clear with our own eyes, but we need to see it in videos too.
And we have to worry about what political angle or agenda it's being used.
Right.
That is correct. That is correct.
So we have to be, like Julia, you said, we have to be very careful about what we're seeing, especially dealing with mainstream media.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that, what is it? The end of the world scenario where the powers that be finally make their move. They're supposed to have some sort of an alien invasion scare, and everybody's running around. I just think that we're going to sit back and laugh at that, because we all, most of us anyway, know that if that does happen, we know who it is, why it's happening, and we can just kick some ass and get it over with.
Well,
here's excuse me. Here's my question, Bill. Maybe you know this. How did Tom DeLonge get involved in all this, and why is he saying they're all malevolent? How does he know?
Well, I don't know, Bill. I don't know, but all I remember is.
Where's he getting his information from?
Well, the last time I saw Tom DeLonge, he was singing a song in an airplane carrier in his underwear. I don't know where this guy.
Yeah, but he does have a history. He supposedly had some contact, and he's been, But so have so many others
too.
Yes.
I knew a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force when my wife was in there, Clovis, Cannon Air Force Base, who told me that they're not only real, that they've been real, and he used to be the liaison to France for the UFO sightings. In other words, he would take the reports. He said that at times they would land on the highway and block the highways. And this is what he told me. They were that common. What are you going to say?
But with all the people, Mike, we've been on the air 5-6 years. Every contactee that we interview, just the same as the free survey, it starts out scary because it's something you don't expect. You never saw this before. And eventually there is a consciousness contact where they talk about the uplifting of planet Earth, and they're trying to keep us from having nuclear war.
Right.
And there's all these positive messages. So people become psychic, their gifts come in. So it all, just about, 95% or 90% positive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are the negative ones, that definitely try to a lot of people that have positive contact, sometimes they have the negative contact.
Yeah,
to stop
very small percentage according to the free surveys.
Right.
Very small percentage.
So I'd like to know. So I think Tom is like, what do you call it? Where the government sets some, here's somebody that's really popular. The kids relate to him.
Yep.
And here's somebody that they can, just like some other people we know.
I agree. He's a figurehead puppet that's they're pulling the strings.
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
something that, I that's just my opinion. I believe, though, that he truly, I really do, I believe he truly has a passion and interest in ufology.
And it's a shame he didn't meet us first. I'm serious. Because
it'd be great to have him on the show and let him know about all the people. We could give him the people to contact that had all this positive contact to tell him, hey, it's good and bad. It's not.
Well, I mean, it's fortunate. It's fortunate for the powers that be because, Tom is his band was, like right in the middle of the young guys and the older guys, and so a lot of the youth know who Tom is. Blink-182 was a pretty popular band in the beginning of last decade, so. He has a built-in captive audience. Young people
and
are going to listen to him.
And he never talked about his experience. He never said what it was.
No. Not that I'm aware of.
Well, Lorraine
and sometimes the government gets in there and pretends.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Because the government does abduct people because they want to know. A lot of people that have been abducted get abducted from the government and they're more frightening. The government ones are more frightening, and they want to get the information. Like with the Hewan sisters, they would have experiences like that,
right?
And the people actually say, "We want to know what they're telling you," and so they do interfere, and
dozens of military.
It's crazy. It really is.
I'm sorry for that little audio. I was looking at a link that somebody sent me, but unfortunately not audio. But you know what? We also have to worry about false flags. That's always a concern. You're always going to hear that.
Absolutely.
How it's going to be propaganded. And also, the thing what you said about that, Julia, is, we also hear about these alleged MK Ultra, these top black ops secret programs where that exactly what you just said. The military may be taking people to gauge their reactions and to make them undergo you never know. So this is a really complicated. My concern is if they propagate this to be some type of a fear propaganda type
exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of people in the circles, because that's the concern when, let's say an extraterrestrial race does eventually make contact, you are definitely going to have, and I know this is a sensitive area, but you're going to have a lot of religious groups and people that may be more on the extremists, and they're going to say right away, these are demons.
Right. That's.
They're going to demonize it, and that's going to be something that can cause a lot of instability.
Well, I wouldn't doubt if some of them were to be that way, demons, and not.
Well,
only
they wouldn't need a spaceship.
They would pretend to have one though.
I don't know.
I'm just saying it's a very, 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 very small percentage, but there are now. You have to remember, as above, so below. There are good and evil aliens, and according to the stuff that I'm working on, there are very few aliens that, or interdimensional beings, or non-human intelligences. Let's put it that way, because we're talking about all kinds of different contacts. People might think that they're being abducted and talking to an alien when it might be someone from another dimension.
It could be AI too.
But also, but oh my God, I lost my train of thought. That's so embarrassing. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Let's move on.
Sure.
Embarrassing. No. Yeah.
Well,
I was talking. Wait a minute. I got it back again. All of a sudden, it dangled in my brain. The stuff the data I'm working with, there is a handful of aliens that say to these people who are receiving messages, we care about the planet. We could give a crap about you. We don't care if you're extinct. We just want you to take care of this planet. That was in a couple of responses, almost as snide as that was. But then again, the majority are people that say, we're helping you out. We're trying to, give you the means to clean your planet and stuff like that. And actually, one of them said, well, you already have it. It's just that it's been taken from you and hidden away. That I believe.
Yeah. All our spiritual gifts, the fact that we had more DNA. We need, right now, our DNA is being activated, and we are a sovereign race, and we've been held captive by, I believe, the so-called Anunnaki or Illuminati, or the bloodline from that. And it's ending. This is the year. This is actually the year, from a lot of sources I've heard. This is the year 2018 of disclosure of everything. So right now you're seeing all the Hollywood stuff come out, the pedophile stuff coming out, and I think the next thing they're going to start opening up on is the chemtrails, and and then the banking. The banking's probably down on the list because there's so many people they have to go after. But probably next time this year, there's going to be 5 people left in Congress. We're going to have a few more elections.
I'm all for term limits. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to bartering at some point in the future, and money would be nothing except...
Well, I think what's happening, from what I hear from a lot of different people, channeled sources, a few different people that don't know each other, we're actually going to have transporters, not transporters, but what do you call it? From replicators.
Like Star Trek?
Yeah, and the 3D printer was the start of that. They're actually going to have where you can manipulate the molecules of anything you want. You can literally have steak, but it's not a cow, but it is it's the same molecules, so it tastes just as good. And they can manipulate molecules and you can make yourself a big house. And then when you're done, you can recycle it. You can take all the molecules back in a little box or whatever. And supposedly this is the kind of stuff, and there's supposed to be transports that can take you to Europe in 5 minutes and back. There's all this technology that naturally are those corporations, what do you call them? The military industrial complex has that, and plus the technology that we don't have yet, and that the extraterrestrials have, that are going to, as we raise in consciousness and get rid of all the dark, they're going to bring to us, because it's safe now to have it out in the open, because it's used for good and not bad. And I think there was one other thing. See, I also had a brain.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to ask you, while you guys are on fire with the brain, because this one's going to really get you going, I want to ask you this question, both of your opinions. Let's say, because this is just something I would think, in a hypothetical scenario, let's say we were contacted. Do you think, and I mean they actually visibly were landed, or we know that they are making contact? And let's say it happens in another country. It doesn't have to be in the United States. This is where my question's going. Don't you think that they have some type of plan in place where all the major powers, all the countries that are, what we consider to be those that are in control, they already have some kind of game plan? Like, let's say something lands in Russia, and it's undeniable, but yet they're going to be inclusive to China, Russia, England, all, like I said, almost like the Security Council members will be part of anything that goes on, no matter where it happens. This way, they can prevent...
Well, isn't that the UN?
Yeah, it is the UN. But they have to have some kind of protocol in place, because if it lands in, let's say, Russia, United States is going to be, well, we want part of this. We want to know what's going on.
So there is a UN ambassador to space.
There's got to be some type of policy, though. So what do you guys think?
Well, look, not everything's a conspiracy theory. It really isn't. But who knows? As far as I know, they have an attaché, a woman, a couple years ago, about 10 or 15 years ago, they set her up. There's probably somebody new now. I don't know. But I imagine they would have to do it through the UN, unless, I imagine that's what unless the Illuminati, as far as I'm concerned, it's being dismantled, but the five families or whatever might have some say. I don't know. But they might be all unraveled by then. But I do hear that there might be actually a lot more contact where that's concerned, where they may be showing themselves like the Phoenix Lights in a major city. Mm-hmm. There may be a couple more. As far as a mass coming down, I'm not really sure. They're mostly going to come to the people that already know about them for guidance and to give technology. And so that's what I feel intuitively, and that's what I've also heard. When I hear stuff, I have to feel it inside. Is that I usually get really tight in my heart when I know it's wrong, and I just feel like my whole body just when I feel news is not right, and when it's right, I'm like, oh, that my heart opens. So that's my intuitive way of dealing with it.
Well, I get your heart. You feel that? What is it? A pressure around your heart?
Yeah, when something's not right.
Right. It reminds me of one of the responses, and this was, I'm thinking about this. The message to the experiencer was, people have to start looking with their gut and not their eyes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that made a lot of sense to me because, I do get that feeling in the gut.
Gut feeling.
If I walk into a place and it kind of like has a bad vibe, I can tell as soon as I walk in the door.
And I've been listening to some of the people I normally listen to that I really respect. And some of the things there are things coming out of their mouths that I can't believe they just said. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to listen to them the same way I listen to the news. It's kind of like, and of course, a lot of it's opinion. And I had one, I'm not going to mention his name. It's just somebody I've been listening to who has a radio show. And I really love and respect this person. I've met him. I've had dinner with him. I, really like this guy. And he's a loving person. And I've been listening to his radio shows all year. And as I've been listening to them, he always says, he does like a news in the beginning of what's going on. And he goes, I'm not Democrat or Republican, but the Dems this, the Liberals this, the Liberals that. And then he'll say Fox News is the white hats. And I remember him saying all media, you can't trust all media. Now all of a sudden he's leaning towards, he's definitely sounding like a Republican. So to me, he's creating division because he's saying I'm not this, but liberals. So I hate when people call people liberals and Republicans, whatever that term is. Well, conservative is not a bad word, but it's like you're creating division, and nobody's left or right or left. I have all different aspects of myself. I'm neither a Democrat, Republican. I'm more independent, or I'm actually more of a libertarian now. But there are some parts of the Republican philosophy I adhere to. There's some of the Democrat. I'm not one or the other, but I don't like the name calling. That's the problem, is the polarity. So when people, I get it, why some people might want to take that avenue, but you're still creating division if you're this, that, and the other. What I like to be is in the middle ground, and the polarity. See, I see everything from energetics, so I see it as polarity playing out the way it's supposed to, and it's going to get a little bit worse. It's going to get worse this year until it comes together. We may actually have a third party, or we may dissolve this whole Democrat-Republican thing, which I hope. Most of the millennials don't like it at all. So when they start running for office, they may run as independents or create a whole new party. And I don't mean the Green Party. It might be another whole concept, because that's exactly what we need.
I think I really do think that the titles Democrat and Republican are just name holders, placeholders. I don't think deep down inside that there are two parties. I think that there's a lot major different process going on there. So
I will say
I can't get into it because it would take the whole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too into the political aspect, but you know what? I think that we should respect everybody's opinion.
Exactly.
Whatever, because when I look at my situation, anybody's situation, we're looking at our specific interests and how it affects me, my family, and those, my friends, those in my community, etc. Now, that's to be respected. But when people use offensive language, derogatory means,
creating,
you know, to me, there's a border. There's always a boundary. When you cross that boundary, you lose all my respect, because now you're going down you're going in the gutter. When you start attacking people, and then using other means to attack those people that are totally have nothing to do with the conversation at hand. Another thing we need more is some compromise, and we have to start thinking together as a country. And to me, that's unity and trying to bring us all together, because we need that. Because
what it is the energy. I speak a lot on the show when I do the Ascension in the last half hour. I talk about we have to have the chaos, which we're experiencing now. Donald Trump's taking everything down that doesn't work anymore, but somebody new is going to come in to redo everything and bring it up. So everybody has a purpose, whether you like him or not. That's his purpose. That's his mission. We all have missions, and some of them are, it doesn't mean I don't like the guy personally. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like his womanizing, but that's, I didn't like Clinton's either, but I liked when Clinton was in, I liked what he did. I don't know. I mean, now I have a different point of view because of everything that's been coming out, but I think everybody has their mission. And but what really, the other thing that got me.
Just remember, though, Trump is putting money into the space program to try to get.
He is.
You got to. He is doing some positive things. I mean, you got to look at the both sides. No matter who's elected, no matter what, you're always going to find differences and indifferences.
He's done. Believe me, Trump has done some really cool stuff, and I believe he was signing the indictments.
By the way, you guys keep going. I got to go change my battery, so I'll be right back. You guys go.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the whole year where we had, speaking of polarity, we had the UFO community, well-respected people in the UFO community, all of a sudden, that you're finding out they're not who they are, and then there's these battles between people, and it's now starting in the light worker community. So everybody really be careful. Don't get involved in the drama, and don't look at, especially the light worker community, don't look at gurus or teachers or mentors as something higher than yourself. We're all equal. We are definitely a good teacher will learn from his student, and a good teacher will tell you there's no difference. We just learn, they're at just a different level of understanding, but they're equal to you. So all these people, there's just a lot going on with the light worker community. When people, when they tell you to look outside yourself for your salvation, that's when you know it's time to leave. When they ask sexual favors from you, it's time to leave. These are well-respected people that all of a sudden can turn, can be influenced by the dark side at any time. So you're a sovereign human being. Go inside and you can go to somebody else or just be by yourself meditating for a while. There's been information like that going around. So people, please be careful. Never, there's this new UFO religion or something, and it's worshiping outside yourself. You're looking at the ETs as your saviors. They are not. You are your savior. Nobody's going to save you. You are what you've been looking for. So you go inside, you meditate, you get from your guides, you meditate to Jesus or Mother, Father, God, or whoever your God is. You go inside yourself. You don't look for another person to show you the way. Or I've had, like, Susie is a great teacher. I've had her, I'm on phone calls with her, but I don't look at her as somebody better than me. She just helped me on my journey. So that's all they're there, is to help you on your journey. So just be careful. And also UFO people, when they start talking stuff that is just ridiculous, there's been, I'm not going to mention names, but there's a few people that I really respected, and I was really surprised because they would go on Facebook and really attack people. And I'm like, and then tell everybody else not to have them as Facebook friends. And I'm like, nobody tells me who to have as the Facebook person.
Well,
but yeah,
this is what happens. Ego always gets in the way.
But it's the government. I think it's the government infiltrating.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But you know what? Everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. And what happens in a field like this? When you're looking for answers to whether or not we are alone in the universe, or whether we're contacting non-human intelligences and the messages they're giving, it's a very, very tender area, and you have to be able to discharge your ego,
right?
Because there's no way that you're going to be able to deal with the real thing that's going on if you have a big ego.
We got to go to break in a few, but I want to act before we get to the break, because Michael, you're hitting a really good point with the ego. Now, this is my question again, and I'll take this to the break, and maybe you guys can discuss this.
Sure.
Who would make the perfect ambassador to make that contact? Because obviously the military is going to have its presence as far as it's all in the demon national security. And that's totally logical and makes sense to have some presence, because we don't know exactly what their agenda is if they were to visit. And that's another danger, because you don't know what spin that's going to be.
Exactly.
And then there's the spiritual aspect of it all, because now all the, you're going to have all the different religions around the globe putting in their two cents as far as, and I say that, I don't mean that literally, but they're going to put their opinions and expressions about what this is involving this extraterrestrials. We know what the Pope has said in the past. Well, it's going to be a really interesting situation, and I'm just curious, who would you think, if you chose 3 groups of individuals, or I'll even stretch it to 5, 3 different groups of individuals that you would want to engage initially on that first contact that was made publicly?
That's a good question. That's very good.
And Michael, you could take us out to break, and we'll come back to that topic when we get back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to sell some stuff to make some money so we can stay on the air and do all this nice talking and stuff. We're glad you're here tonight. It's maybe going to be a special night, but, it's kind of time's moving on. So anyway, let's enjoy the break, and we'll see you on the other side.
I'm a planner. Some of my friends say I'm a survivalist. I guess they're right, because when disaster hits, I have a survival plan, and it starts with my survivalist camp, my fully functional, off-the-grid bug-out house. And when the you-know-what hits the fan, I'm out of here. So what the heck is a survivalist camp? At first glance, it looks like a very nice RV, but it's really engineered to provide my family with 5 basic needs for survival: air, water, shelter, heat, and food. Survivalist Camps builds a camp to withstand all that nature and man can throw at it. It's fully mobile. My family and I can flee disaster fully self-sufficient in just moments. And its construction will last a lifetime. Look, if you're a planner, you need to check out survivalistcamps.com. They're like you and me. They believe a good plan is the best way to meet a disaster. Survivalistcamps.com. Be ready to be impressed. That's survivalistcamps.com. Get prepared at survivalistcamps.com.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MigraLief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MigraLief migraine formula. MigraLief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MigraLief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354. Or visit MIG911.com.
Hi, it's AJ from Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. Have you been searching for unique items to create or add to your sacred space? What about tools for your holistic healing? Or those one-of-a-kind magical ingredients to manifest your desires? Well, look no more, because Vibes has a variety of items to assist you in your spiritual journey. From crystals to candles, incense to books, tapestries to jewelry, OnlineVibes.com has what you're seeking. We even have some thoughtful and mindful gifts to share with your friends and family too. Visit us at OnlineVibes.com from the comfort of your home, or give us a call at 385-244-1099 to have your order beautifully packaged and sent directly to you or a loved one. And right now, take advantage of the coupon code KGRA at checkout to receive 15% off any order. Remember, online, VIBEC.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the, I guess, the last third of the show. We are going to go for another 30 minutes tonight. We run like that when we don't have a guest. And we have some suggestions of people who we might want to greet a party of aliens when they come to Earth. And I just want to throw one thing in there. I would like to have one common man be in the deal.
Yeah.
One common guy who does not have a degree, who is not a scientist, who is not a politician, just an average Joe that goes to work every day, be in that group.
That sounds good.
Because I think, I think that despite the fact that everybody else in the group would probably be brilliant people, sometimes it's the average Joe that comes across with the best questions. It really is. Okay, that's enough. Bill, you said that some of our fair listeners on YouTube are sending you suggestions. Let's hear them.
Yeah, someone mentioned, and I'm just going to go into chat and see if someone mentioned Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. I don't know. Stephen Hawking is just such a negative person. And he's afraid that, well, I mean, did you read the article where he said that, we better not contact aliens because those SOBs are going to destroy us, just wipe us out. He's very afraid of contact.
The way we did the Indians.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think about Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I like him.
I think the initial group should be scientists, couple scientists and a couple people from the UN, and then the religious leaders of each nation, all the different areas.
But I do like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He would be on my list. Who else would you have?
I think that's actually a good thing to have. You have to have all the religions represented.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that. That's a no get. That's definitely it has to be done. And
that would have to be done.
You have to. And then you got to have, like you said, I agree with Julia too, with the scientists. You got to have different scientists in different fields representing, whether it's astrophysicists, astronomers, biologists, because you got to think about the disease interaction that can happen too. Geneticists, it's got to be a whole plethora of scientists.
This is the thing. What if I'm a Catholic, so I can find out all this information about the Vatican and all this stuff, talking to priests and all that. What if the Vatican says, "Hey, we don't have to talk to them because, hey, we know they're here. We've known they're here."
You know something? That one of them could throw something in the game to totally offset everything else. That's the danger. In a way, that's dangerous.
Once again, though, you have to remember, once again, I don't care if you're a Catholic or a priest or a cardinal, you got to deal with egos.
Yep. But you don't want to even politicize the religious aspect either.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You want to keep it. I think it has to be, because if you look at all religions, they all have something in common. It's either God or gods. A higher being
across time. Yeah,
you have to find
absolutely.
You have to find the commonalities within the religions where they, of course, they all have they branch off into different areas of certain specific belief structure. But let's try to find the things in common where we could all sit down and say, well, this is what we do believe. We believe that there is a higher being, but then there's the danger. Like we were mentioning earlier, if you don't know if you're dealing with a malevolent or benevolent ET, and is this something that is of good nature or evil intent?
Well, I like this phrase, and I've used it a lot. God has many faces.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That kind of explains it all. God has many faces. So, we're talking Buddha, we're talking Muhammad, we're talking Jesus. Exactly. God has many, many faces.
Like the prophets. You can look at all the different prophets.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not God, but I mean, you're looking at these major religious people that are kind of like leaders over time, over history, the founders. That's something that I think rings true.
Yep. I totally agree. The only thing is it has to be in a setting where people can feel like it's a neutral setting. I don't know if the UN necessarily would work, but it's going to be interesting how it's portrayed in the public.
Yeah. If the UN is here, right?
Yeah, well, it's going to be and I think that's why they worry about disclosure period, is how they're going to unveil it to society in general. Because we're not just talking here in the United States; we're talking on a global scale. How it's going to be taken and interpreted, and how people are going to just absorb it all.
Well, we've been exposed to so much of that in movies and television over the past 30, 35, 40 years, and they kind of like work us up from happy little space aliens, green Martians, to E.T., then we have Close Encounters, and of course we wind up with Close Encounters of the fourth kind, where we have the Sumerian voices coming through and all that scary shit.
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, it's true. It's true.
It is true. It's very, very true. But I think we've been kind of trained over the years by Hollywood and their good friends at the CIA, which, from what I understand, there were CIA people on the set of Close Encounters of the Third Kind to guide the process.
Another person said, send 5 of the top science fiction editors. I don't know if you want to have those type of individuals. I was thinking more also.
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
I think William Shatner should be there. Honest to God.
Oh, wow.
There's a guy, I mean, he talk about ego, but still, I mean, here's a guy who for decades has been kind of like the marvelous, wonderful Captain Kirk. So naturally,
and you have the Galactic Federation, so it's kind of like the same thing.
Sure. I mean, if you're going to have someone introduce introduce aliens, you want someone who's been kind of quote unquote dealing with them for decades. I think somebody from Hollywood like that would be very good and to be included in the group.
What about historians, philosophers, archaeologists, etc.?
Oh, that's a given.
Anthropologists.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, those hard sciences, well, they're not really hard sciences, but they're semi-hard these days. Philosophers, anthropologists, sociologists. I'm sure we'd want to know what is your society like? How have you evolved over time? All this kind of really good stuff that would enrich our knowledge base too.
Now, can you imagine? Just think about. If you were to think about all the number of people we're talking about in these groups, how overwhelming it would be on these extraterrestrials just from that point of view, and we're not even including the military's role.
I can just see a big auditorium full of people mumbling with questions, and these two little ETs come out on stage, and it's like they say, "What did we get ourselves into here?"
We've been here 10 seconds. We're getting out of here right now. We're out of here.
Exactly. See ya.
And that makes you wonder too. That's why they don't engage. If we were living in a global environment where we were more of a global community and we were more on the same page, so to speak, without all this division and all the different political, social differences that we have, I think it might be a little easier. But in the state that we're in right now, and they obviously they have to, if they're visiting Earth, they have to be aware of the violence and the war and all the negative aspects that are going on our planet. And if it was us on another planet, would we really go there and say, okay, we need to interact with these vehicles? This is a violent species.
Absolutely, and that is one of the big responses that I've come across. I know that it seems like where you're talking about ecology and everything, but no, there are a lot of messages from these non-human intelligences that are saying, we can't really do much with you yet. You're a violent race. You're an egotistical race. You're, a race that just has not grown up. And one response was, we look at you as children. We have a long way to go.
And we also look at you as a potential threat outward.
Well, they don't want us to grow up, maybe.
I mean, look what we're doing. That's the thing I think about all these exoplanets that are out there. And it just makes me wonder, if we had the ability to travel, and and it's almost like that movie. I can't recall the movie off the top of my head, but if we were to find the planet,
I'm back again.
Yeah, I hear it. If you were on a planet, if we were traveling to an exoplanet that was within reach, and all the countries of the world are racing to go there, and we find a primitive civilization, is this going to be conquer and divide again? And we've seen similar things happen here on our planet in the past, where it's like you're wiping out a race or a culture or a tribe. Is that going to happen all over again at the current point? You know what I mean? Are we going to do that? Genocide of another civilization because we want to take it for ourselves? And I mean, we have to think of the selfish nature part of it too.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what's scary about it. So who needs to change? I think we need to change.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. We're the babies. We have to change.
So what do you see? We've had an interesting 2017, especially toward the latter half.
I was just thinking that. What's going to be in the future?
That's what I asked
in the beginning.
Go ahead. Go for it.
What's 2018 going to hold for us? I mean, heck, 2017 was really difficult to get through, actually. Because of all the stuff. I mean, we lived a solid year with Trump. So, we know that, NHD, no harm done so far. And, he just, tweets himself away every day. That's okay. As long as he doesn't do anything like decide to, use the football, the nuclear football, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. No, seriously, you know.
I listened to a couple different, what do you call it, the astrologer dictators, a couple different people. They all agreed that Kim Jong-un won't be here next year. He'll probably be taken out in some way.
Geez.
And there's going to be an issue with China and Russia as far as control of North Korea. And that, here's the good stuff. What's his name? Julie. They did this January 1st. I was listening to all these things. And they predicted that Julian Assange would be exonerated. And he was just today or yesterday, he left the embassy he was hiding in. He got exoneration. And Edward Snowden Trump is going to let him come back to the United States. He's going to be probably in a little danger with Russia. Because this is after North Korea falls. There's not going to be a war. There's going to be they're just taking him out. He's too dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to actually disappear. Nobody's really going to know for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so Snowden's going to come back to the U.S. to be safe, and all the whistleblowers are going to be cleared, and we're going to find out, the information was correct, and they had to do it because, your government is not right or wrong. If it's wrong, you stand up to it, and you let the people know. So that's my opinion. But the weather, Mother Earth is, she's ascending at a very quick rate, and all these weather issues are going to continue for this year. That is her letting out. It's her letting out her steam. It's her letting out all the negativity and coming into balance again. And so are we. We call it the ascension flu, the aches and the pains. A lot of people, when their DNA is being activated, I had it all year. I'm getting a lot better now, but people feel the difference in the vibration of Mother Earth, and it affects, they get dizzy, they get maybe a fever real fast, and it goes away, like weird stuff that they never got before. That's going to be, this year is going to probably, peak a little and then go down. So it's actually good stuff. There, and I certainly hope that it's all true. I hope they're getting rid of everybody from Guantanamo Bay. They're getting rid of all the pedophiles and the bankers, and a new society will be set up. I really hope that's true. And so just like I listen to everybody, if I get the same message from different people, I think about that. But you can also change anything personally. You can change any bad situation. If they say, there might be a false flag in August, which I haven't heard, you can meditate against that, and you can lessen whatever weather event is. You can lessen, like people are talking about a pole shift, or it's a slight pole shift. It's not a complete one in a couple of years. So you want to lessen it so the effects are not as bad. We are going to get coastal flooding, but it's not going to be this drastic, the movie 2012 where
no, it's not going to be that. We already have coastal flooding. Water levels are rising. Yeah. And a lot of scientists say, look, it's part of the the normal changing of the earth. Our continents float. I mean, they're not like solid. Right. They float around, they move. But heck, what do I know? I just I believe that global warming is real, and I do believe that we are going to deal with things.
I agree with that. Because the statistics.
Well, it's climate change. It's not so much warming as it is change, which means the events are more intense. And there's a shift. Like we may have warmer weather up here and colder weather down there. Like that's part of a pole shift, I think.
Well, the statistic I saw that was released a few days ago was that the last 3 years were the top 3 years so far that they've been keeping the records that were the warmest years. I think
they were.
I think 2017 ranked number 3. But it was the last 3 years since they've been doing it that it's been warmest. But they also say that the planet has its times and periods of these shifts that go on. So it depends
naturally.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, this is the one thing that I'm hopeful. First of all, you never know. This could be the year of more of these little snippets of disclosure. And maybe NASA may play a role in.
Oh, that would be a big one.
Yeah.
In saying that they found maybe on Europa or some other moon like Enceladus, something that they can give us and say, well, you know what, we may have found life. And I'm not saying alien grays. I'm saying something more substantive as far as the possibility of life within our solar system. Forget about exoplanets because that's.
Well, what about all the pictures on Mars of all the temples? And all the things that are left there. That's what they should start showing us.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't know. In the era of Photoshop, and those pictures are so blurry anyway.
I think NASA has clear photos that they haven't shown.
Well, I'm sure they do, but I don't know. Personally, I doubt that there's all these artifacts on the moon or on Mars. If they were going to be there, we'd be able to see them really clearly, especially on the moon. But still, we have these little humps that somebody sits there and draws an illustration over. See how this has a doorway here, and here's a pathway, and there's a rocket here. I can't buy it. I can't buy it until.
Oh, I really feel there's something on the dark side of the moon. That's where you're going to find all that stuff.
That's where it would be if I were an alien. I would want to be there.
It's going to be on the dark side, and
I certainly wouldn't waste my time on the front where everybody can see. Oh,
I think they're there. I definitely feel the rock formations. They have something right now that they released. They released a picture that almost looks like rock formations like Stonehenge, but the distance that they took at these rocks would have been huge, and they wouldn't have been put there naturally. They're like 4 in the middle, and then it looks like there's another around, just like Stonehenge, and NASA released it. So they're slowly releasing stuff. Believe me, they had the rover there. I'm sure they have crisp pictures of everything, and they're not releasing it yet, but maybe they will.
I will also be this optimistic that if hopefully this country smooths out and we develop better relations with other countries, and I'm not going to get into political part, but it would be nice to hear a joint mission to Mars.
Absolutely.
With other countries. Like I'm just being bluntly honest. I would go for Russia, China, Japan. If it's all about economics and it costs too much for one nation to go, well, let's stop the nonsense and let's come together as a global community and put all our minds together and let's do what we need to do to progress to the future.
Bill, that sounds great on paper.
I know it does. I know. But wouldn't that be nice if we had some kind of announcement like that?
If we could, that would be ideal because then, I think we'd be flooded with visitors.
Exactly. And, I think they all work together anyway. Despite what we see in mainstream media news and what they put out there, I think they're a lot more working together in cooperation than we realize.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, really. That would be – there is a quick question coming in. And also, Bezos was another name that came up in chat that they would want to represent. But here's the question.
You mean the head of Amazon?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm just throwing.
Okay.
Could you ask the guest if let me see if the fit hits. Oh, okay. If the thing hits the proverbial, what hits the fan?
Right.
What should we do and where should we go?
Oh, man.
Look what happened with Hawaii. We didn't even bring up Hawaii.
I'm just going to take a lawn chair and sit out in the backyard. What else are you going to do? I mean, really.
I mean, really? Are you going to just, delay the inevitable?
Me? No, I would just... are you talking about,
in general?
An end-of-the-world scenario?
I know. That wasn't really... I don't know. I mean, look at what happened in Hawaii. You both wanted to talk about that. I believe we didn't have time.
Yeah. I heard something, and it's interesting. I've heard there was somebody that worked on my Facebook page that worked in emergency services and said that cannot ever happen, that there's something going on that they're not telling us. And I heard from a few sources that, remember when, there's this whole thing, it's complicated, but there's this whole thing about the financial reset. We're going to the gold standard. We're going to be debt-free, NACERA, that stuff. That was supposed to happen back in 2001. And then, of course, it was supposed to be announced from the Twin Towers, and, of course, that happened. So that they were going to do it again. They were going to announce it. It had something to do with China, too, with I'm not going to go into it. There was a missile sent to Florida to Hawaii, because they wanted to have a false flag to make it look like it was Kim Jong-un, and it wasn't. It was sent from a submarine or something, but we got it, or the Galactics got it before it hit Hawaii. So that was actually real. And then they're covering it up. And they have these false flags to stop the announcement or the movement of this new financial system, which would change the world for all of us, make our lives so much easier. And that's what I'm hearing from a few different people. I don't know. I don't feel negative about it. My heart doesn't clench. Nothing really happens. So I'm thinking maybe they could be right. There could have something to do with it. If you watch the news story, did you watch, they all looked really nervous. I mean, yeah, it's a big deal, but the head of the emergency services, the guy there, he was really nervous. The governor was nervous. I just I could right away say there's something wrong here. It has nothing to do with Joe Blow pushing the wrong button. I'm sorry. Because what it would say is, this is a test. That's what it would say. This is a test. Like when we watch our TVs and it goes by, you have to type in the message and then hit OK, and then it makes a, so
it's not as simple as just one person. I think it's a multi-step
process.
And
it has to be they have to have a message. They have to type in new message. Let's say there's a weather event. They have to type in a hurricane's on its way. So they have to type in, and they wouldn't just say, and here's my opinion. It's only an opinion. They're not going to say a missile's on its way, go hide. What the word is that? Where are you going to hide? And where's it? They would have a trajectory. Oh, it's going to hit Maui. They're not going to say just Hawaii. They're going to say which island they think the missile's going to hit, and which part of the island. So people only have. If you have 12 minutes, do you really think you're going to get in the car and make it to the other side of the island? It's
to where?
To where?
Yeah.
And so it was a very generic. To me, the message was so freaking generic. There's a missile on the way. I mean, usually they tell you a lot more detail. And also when that's on, they also go on the television set. And now they have the sirens too. But they would go on the television set and interrupt that. But it doesn't seem like the groups were communicating. But it does seem like out of all the years we've had the emergency broadcasting system, I don't think we've ever had a mistake.
Oh, yeah, there was one back There was one
Oh,
back
when?
in the 80s.
Oh, yeah? What happened?
Well, they accidentally sent out a message saying that this is not a test.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this was, and I, damn it, my memory. It was back in the 80s. It happened on a Saturday morning. It went out on all the TVs. This is not a test. Stay tuned for your local whatever it is. And here, it was once again one of those errors where the wrong button was pushed. It makes you.
I mean, people do look. People do stupid things. They might have been really exhausted and hit. The guy said the computer screen went up and you're supposed to hit. Do you really want to send this? And he hit yes.
Yeah, by accident.
But then,
so that's 3 times. But it's just.
Here's another thing. What happened in Japan the next few days later?
Oh yeah.
It happened again. It happened again.
In Japan.
Yes, there was an alert that was falsely put out there, but they got to it quick. They crushed it right away. But somebody put out a missile, a warning for Japan.
Wow.
So what do you think that is?
Somebody's playing.
Something's up.
Somebody might want to try and start a war.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Someone's hacking. Someone's trying
Because let's say you get a signal and then you have to call the general the general would have to call the emergency broadcast system and say what's going on. They don't call the general. But the message went out and supposedly they called the general and he said there's nothing here. So, but it sounded to me like they were trying to start something because we could have sent a missile to North Korea and then they would send one to us. You know how dangerous that is? They have to get it together.
Well, I'm very glad that Trump was golfing, when that happened. So
thank God.
Well, let's hope that nothing happens because all it takes is one small mistake to cause an irreversible possible nuclear showdown. And
it's scary. So idiotic. It really is.
Hey, listen, gang, it's getting to that time. Yes. It's 11:28. And I was wondering, I guess we're going to move on to saying goodnight at this point.
Oh, we're going to say goodnight.
Well, yeah, what happened was I got a message from Ilona, and she says that she didn't receive a signal from Oli, so we'll try it another night in the future, I said. So, it's not a dead issue. We're going to try and do it. It's just that, everybody has to be ready. And, if it's not right, if the atmosphere isn't right or if Ollie's not feeling it, it's not going to happen.
It may not be that it was cloudy, it's just that there might have been military watching. He has to do it when no one's watching, I guess.
Yeah, either that or,
Any indications who the guest is next week?
It's been kind of like slim pickings. I don't have anybody yet for next week, but I certainly will work on it. I think I'm going to try to get one of my scientist friends from Free to come on and talk a little bit about some of the subjects in the book, which are really going to this is going to be a great thing, and it's free. So I'll see what happens. Every time I ask, does anybody from there want to go on? Somebody always jumps into the driver's seat. So we'll see what happens. At any rate, just remember, everyone, that keep your ego in check, because what we need to do is all feel equal amongst each other, right, and feel like we're brothers and sisters. And remember, one of the things, here's the last message I'll leave you with. One of the responses was, love is the most powerful force in the universe.
Be love.
That is what one alien or non-human entity said to one of the people that actually were in touch with him. So love is the strongest force in the universe. So use it. It's there.
There you go. So with that, I guess we'll see everybody next week, eh, Mike?
I guess so, yeah. It looks like we're going to break off now for the night. I want to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you for the YouTubers for joining us. You guys are welcome anytime. Open bar next week. Free appetizers. So, please join us again because it's good to have you guys here.
We love it.
And
good night, everybody.
All over the place. Good night. God bless. And keep your ego in check.